Skoda Karoq, Volkswagen TRoc. Similar sounding cousins, both cut from the same cloth. In this case, the Volkswagen Group MQB platform. Both have the same 1.5 TSI engine, the Evo spec of this engine. Both have the same 7-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox, and both are imported in limited numbers. In fact, I hear that the demand has been so good, both are nearly sold out. So, can the two be compared? Well, if you look at the prices, not really. The Karoq is 25 lakh rupees, the T-Roc is 20 lakh rupees, and at 20 lakh rupees, 5 lakhs is 25%. That's a significant sum that can't be washed away by saying that your EMIs are going to go up by 1000 rupees. No, so these two can't be compared, but a lot of you on our channel have asked about how these two actually compare, and honestly, we are also curious. No better way to find out than to get behind the wheel of these two cars. But before we get going, click the bell icon, subscribe to the channel, and stay notified of all the cool videos as soon as they drop. So let's start with the Volkswagen T-Roc. And what's the one thing that will make you buy an SUV like the Karoq or the T-Roc? That is styling. And on the styling front, this T-Roc, it looks brilliant. It's something that will appeal to everybody, and I think they've done a fantastic job with it. The colors also that the T-Roc is being offered with, all of that makes the T-Roc stand out. And I think just on the visual appeal, the T-Roc, it ticks all the right boxes. If this test was all about styling, the T-Roc would win it, hands down. But this test is not just about styling, so obviously you have to talk about the rest. Now, in terms of the design of the cabin, it looks really good. Equipment also, it's got this digital cockpit, it's got a touchscreen infotainment system, it's got climate control, safety, 6 airbags. The Karoq has 9 airbags, but this has got 6 airbags, comfortable seats. What it does not have is too much space at the back. So with me, and I'm 5'9", with me sitting comfortably, sitting at the back is a bit of a squeeze. It is a bit tight. And of course, the headroom, that's also slightly compromised because of the sloping roofline. But that sloping roofline, it makes it look really cool. While on the exterior, there is really nothing to complain. On the interior, while the styling is cool, I would think Volkswagen should have gone for that next step in terms of the trim. Some of the parts, like these plastic parts for the grab handles on the doors, especially on the rear, they don't feel premium enough for a 20 lakh rupee SUV. Some of the equipment, I think that also should have been better. The sound system, for instance, the stereo is not all that great. If you had to compare it with other vehicles at this price range, and really nothing compares apples to apples, but the only thing that would really come close are the Seltos and the Creta. Both have 1.4 turbo petrol engines and twin clutch automatic gearboxes. They have a lot of equipment. Okay, the T-Roc does have a panoramic sunroof, and that does open up the cabin, makes it feel airy, but the others, they've got really tons more equipment. But what we have to talk about is this engine. The 1.5 TSI Evo edition, it does the Evo name proud. Sounds good, very good turn of speed, and it has the handling to match the performance of the engine. This MQB platform is really excellent. On the T-Roc, this MQB setup is on the sportier side, so it is a little stiffer, but the handling is really brilliant. You take it around a twisty mountain road and there's tons of grip. Today, it's a rainy, wet day, and situations like this, that's situations that should highlight the lack of all-wheel drive. This is only front-wheel drive, but no, it doesn't. Front-wheel drive seems adequate enough for everything. It grips well, it grips enthusiastically, it bites well even on wet tarmac. It delivers the thrill of driving. It is a solid, fun car to drive. And then ride quality. You go over some poor patches and it does take all of it in its stride. Of course, it does feel firmer. You do feel the small ripples in the road, but it doesn't throw you around. The ride is actually pretty well sorted for a sporty SUV, and that's what I would call this. Okay, well, not a sporty SUV, a sporty crossover. Yep, that's the perfect terminology for the T-Roc. The T-Roc, it drives much better than any of its closest rivals. it's sportier, it feels more sophisticated, it feels more responsive, it is more enthusiastic. The chassis, it can handle all that power easily. It puts a wider smile on your face. This is fun, pure fun. Paddles for the gearbox. It downshifts so well. That's the joy of this twin clutch gearbox. In fact, VW's DSG gearboxes, they really are one step up on everybody else's twin clutch gearboxes, both in terms of shift speed, in terms of the smoothness, and in terms of delivering that character to the car. You don't want a DSG to feel like, say, a regular torque converter automatic. And this DSG, this is the reference for all twin clutch automatic gearboxes. So the main question, does the T-Roc feel like a 20 lakh rupee SUV slash crossover slash car? To be honest, from the way it looks, from the way it drives, the performance of the engine, all of it, yes, it does feel like it is 20 lakh rupees. But on the inside, I would have liked the interiors to be a little more premium, a little more upmarket, a little more keeping with the Volkswagen brand. If you are a sensible chappy, the T-Roc might not be the SUV slash crossover for you. But if you want something cool, something different, something that not everybody will have, the T-Roc, it's great. Step into the Karoq from the T-Roc and the first thing that strikes you is the space. This seems like a significantly more spacious and airy cabin. Now, this is still a 4-seater, 5 can fit in, but it's a slight pinch. But still, compared to the T-Roc, there is more headroom, there is more knee room. This is a longer car. It's got a longer wheelbase as well. And that's the thing with this MQB platform. It is a toolkit. It is not like a fixed platform, but it's a toolkit wherein you can change the wheelbase, the length, the width, the dimensions, and make two vehicles that feel and look and are significantly different from each other. You'd think that the Karoq and the T-Roc would be almost similar, but they look completely different and they drive also completely differently. Now, in terms of the driving, the ride quality on the Karoq is much nicer. This is a more grown-up version of what the T-Roc is. So it rides better, there is more compliance in the ride, it is more relaxed. And if you want to do distances, this is slightly better, it's slightly more comfortable. Of course, the handling on the T-Roc is better than the Karoq. The T-Roc is tighter, it's more eager, more responsive, and also grips slightly better. But that said, if you have not driven a T-Roc and you drive the Karoq, you'll be really, really impressed. Like I said, this is a wet day, but the Karoq, it grips really well. It finds grip even on wet roads. The Karoq is also front-wheel drive like the T-Roc. It's not all-wheel drive, but you never miss the all-wheel drive. You never say, shit man, if I had all-wheel drive here, I could have done something more. Okay, maybe if you're off-roading, but these are not off-roaders, these are soft-roaders. So you'd be crazy to really be off-roading the Karoq or the T-Roc. But apart from that, you never really need all-wheel drive. And in India, we don't have snow. In Europe, they have snow, so that's why they need all-wheel drive. We don't have snow, so you don't really need the weight, the added complexity, and of course, the added price of all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive is perfectly alright. Now, I did say that the T-Roc feels slightly lacking in terms of the equipment when you compare it with what its rivals offer, rivals like the Seltos and the Creta. With the Karoq, now the rivals are not the Seltos and the Creta because this is 25 lakh rupees, so its rivals are the Compass and the Tucson. And compared to them, here you don't feel anything lacking. Now, for starters, you get 9 airbags. Premium entry-level SUVs like the X1, they don't get 9 airbags. So in terms of equipment, Skoda has not skimped on anything. Overall, this does seem a step up from the T-Roc. I also prefer the layout of this digital cockpit. It's the same size as the T-Roc, but the graphics and the design of it sort of looks better to me, but then styling is a personal subject. And then coming to the styling part. Now, the T-Roc definitely is more attractive, more youthful, more funky, more head-turning. The Karoq, it is a little more Skoda in that sense, where a little understated, but intelligent. It's clever. This color is the least flattering that I've seen the Karoq in. So if you're buying a Karoq, do not buy it in this, whatever, dull grey blue shade. The proper blue, that looks good. I'm sure this will look really great in black. It needs a good strong color to bring it out. And I think in terms of the design, it is faultless. It's conservative, it's a little understated. It looks like a baby Kodiaq, and I think it looks really good, more mature for sure. It won't turn as many heads as the T-Roc, but then a lot of Karoq owners will not want to draw that much attention to themselves, and in that sense, this does the job perfectly. What about the engine? Now, it's the same 1.5 TSI engine with ACT, that's active cylinder technology, and it goes as well as the T-Roc. It's sprightly, it's energetic, it sounds good, has a nice engine note to it. The 7-speed twin clutch automatic gearbox, excellent as always. Paddle shifters behind the steering wheel so you can control the gears yourself. Step on it and it does move really well. Good brakes, really good strong brakes. So mechanically and in terms of the dynamic setup, the Karoq is almost as good as the T-Roc. The T-Roc does have the edge in terms of handling, the Karoq has the edge in terms of ride quality. So if you let that balance be, otherwise both these cars are extremely good to drive. This MQB platform is excellent. And what does that mean for you and me? Well, the next generation of mid-size SUVs coming from Skoda-VW in India, they are based on this MQB platform. Obviously Indianized so that they use Indian steel and Indian components and Indian vendors and all of that, but it'll be the same platform. So dynamically, if it is closer to the T-Roc and the Karoq, that's excellent for us. Also, those SUVs will have the same 1.5 TSI engine. The 1.5 TSI engine is going to be localized. It will have a DSG gearbox. The lower variants will have the 1-liter turbo petrol with the manual and the 6-speed torque converter. So overall, what we are experiencing here is sort of what the Taygun and what Skoda's Vision Ion will look and feel like next year. And that is terrific. So in terms of pricing, the T-Roc and the Karoq, they don't compare. This is not a comparison test. The T-Roc would sort of compare with the Seltos and the Creta, the Karoq sort of with the Tucson and the Compass. Compared to the Tucson and the Compass, this does make quite a bit of sense. If you don't need the space of the Tucson, the dynamics of this, the engine, the performance, the interior, the premiumness, all of it holds the Karoq in good stead. And that's the reason why the Karoq has been selling surprisingly well. Of course, the volumes are limited, but whatever limited volumes Skoda has brought in for the Karoq, almost all have been spoken for. My cousin, she's just picked up one. A friend of mine in Bangalore, he's also just picked up one. And these are guys who were looking at other bigger SUVs, then they drove the Karoq and they fell in love with it. And that's the thing, you've got to drive these cars. From the outside, if you look at only the specs and only the pricing, they might not make as much sense. But when you drive it, that's when you realize that these cars, they put a smile on your face. They are nice to drive, they are safe, they really feel premium. They enhance the driving experience, and that is the key takeaway from this test. T-Roc or Karoq? Fact is, both appeal to different audiences. The T-Roc is more funky, it's more sporty, and it is smaller. The Karoq is more sensible, it's more spacious, and has better ride quality. And of course, both are in different segments. 5 lakhs is a big price gap. The key takeaway though from this test is the versatility of the MQB platform and the brilliance of this 1.5 TSI engine mated to the 7-speed DSG gearbox, all of which is going to come in next year's Taygun and whatever Skoda is going to call their Vision Ion mid-size SUV. For the Indian automotive enthusiast, that bodes really well. Subscribe to the Evo India channel and hit the bell icon to keep pace with the thrill of driving.